Jim Decker is the code hero, but he's way more than that. He's an Ignatian.
Kevin Grady is absolutely dedicated and committed to the Jesuit philosophy.
Mary McCarty is a master teacher, a Latin lover. She's my friend.
Jim Decker is what SI is supposed to be, what a faculty member is supposed to be. He really is the role model for all of us.
Mary McCarty is a great pedagogue, a woman of great character and stability, generous and loving.
So my history with Kevin Grady goes back 10 years. He was really after me to coach cross country with him, and I'm so grateful to him for doing that because I've loved cross country. I've been coaching for the last 10 years, and Kevin was just persistent, right? That was my first introduction to Kevin. He would not let it drop.
Kevin Michael Grady and I met way back. We were both teaching algebra to summer school students. He had become the director of admissions the year before, and it was the year before we were going to go through the transition of coeducation.
I first met Kevin in 1983 when he came to SI as a Jesuit scholastic.
I think one of the things that I would say that everybody loves and respects about Kevin is his relationship with the girls in his life, with the women in his family. There's a real humility and flexibility that I've seen in Kevin that I think his colleagues have seen and really appreciated. His willingness to do what the school needs. Everything that he's done, he does with a lot of intensity and a lot of passion.
What was difficult is when we had to go to meetings with the other high schools. Kevin handled himself with poise against some really tough adversaries because we were taking students away from the girls' schools. And I know that was probably the hardest part of the transition for him in particular. But on the end of SI, it was very exciting to see an incredible change for the school, and Kevin was a big part of that.
For 23 years, I think the results speak for themselves. To thoughtfully select the right students, and you need somebody in that office who is professional, compassionate, understands Jesuit education, and Kevin did all of that very well.
Saying no is the hardest part. Absolutely. You're denying so many great students who could still come here, but we just don't have the room for it. But I think he was just passionate about the school, and he really believed in SI becoming co-ed. He believed in the amazing structure here, academically, spiritually, co-curricular, so it was easy for him to go out to the community.
I think the mark of a good Jesuit educator is leaving a place better than you found it.
I would say Kevin's legacy, one, excellence in the cross-country program, but more importantly, Kevin's work as admission director. I think year after year as a teacher, I was so grateful for the quality of students that were in our classrooms, in large part due to the work that Kevin did.
Kevin's legacy will be the fact that he was able to admit thousands and thousands of co-eds to this school, which is allowing a whole nother gender to embrace what SI has to offer.
I met Mary in 1988 when I came to St. Ignatius to do a seminar for the faculty on going co-ed. And Mary, right from the very beginning, was exceptionally welcoming. And then I came back in 1989 to teach here, and there weren't a lot of women, but Mary was the mentor to us, I think, in many ways. She was available. We were just becoming co-ed. It was a challenging time, an exciting time, and so I'm really grateful for that time with Mary.
Mary McCarty is a caryatid. It's from Greek, referring to a sculpted female figure serving as an architectural support, taking the place of a pillar. When she and I started, Mary was the only woman, and she joined a faculty that included 3 other women.
I met Mary when I came here for my interview. When I was hired, I knew she was special. She is the only Latin teacher I've ever worked with. She was my mentor. She kind of taught me everything that I know and made me feel like what I had to say mattered too. So it's been 15 years together.
Mary was a pioneer. I mean, she was here at the beginning, and I think, it wasn't about being a woman. I think you were a good teacher, and you were part of the faculty, and it wasn't like the women are coming, the women are coming.
Mary understands the three-part mission of Jesuit education, has been an excellent teacher, with grace has made the Junior Classics League a fun activity that the Latin students love, and has been a real supporter of campus ministry.
Mary was and still is enthusiastic, spirited, loud, funny, gentle, all those things, and I saw that even when I first met her.
Mary's presence here spanned a time of many different moments in our history, and what makes her exceptional is that she has gone through all those changes with grace and class, and she kept doing her job, which is to teach. And that's, that doesn't change no matter what changes in school.
She is always part of the discussion on what direction is SI going? Are we doing it right?
One of the things I admire most about Mary is her incredible ability to change and move and be honest. She's a great pedagogue, and I think that's, goes without saying.
When our first Jesuit Pope was elected, Mary made a point of sending out his opening remarks in Latin to the entire faculty. She was willing to translate them if people needed help, but she wanted to make sure we got them.
Mary leaves behind a Latin program complete with a very personal touch, and the idea that teaching Latin is no longer about charts and graphs and memorization. It's a living culture, and we should live it.
She's one of those teachers that kids will always look back and say, she cared about me, she loved me. And I think that's a legacy that no one can measure in any way.
I came to SI in 1995, and Jim Decker was already recognized as a giant of the faculty. Everybody recognized his intelligence, everybody recognized his wit, everybody recognized his style. It was a wonderful thing to come into a department and have Jim there.
So I first met Mr. Decker as my sophomore English teacher. The next year he ended up being my varsity coach, and he coached me for 2 years in baseball. And then when I came to SI, obviously we were colleagues, and later we coached JV girls basketball together.
Jim's career has been a life with and for SI. Teacher, coach, alumni director. But first and always, Jim is a teacher.
The fact of the matter is that his roots are in SI. His love, his heart is in SI, and everybody recognizes that. SI really belongs to Jim as much as Jim belongs to SI.
Over the years, he has instilled in his students a love of literature and pushed them to be better writers with his uncanny knack of combining learning and laughter, a hallmark of the Decker classroom.
They love him. I mean, you go by his class, and if there's recess afterward or just the 5 minutes in between class, you'll still see kids kind of overflowing out of his classroom just chatting with him. They want to be around him. He's just kind of a good role model for everybody.
I've been telling younger teachers for months now, go in, sit in his classroom, see how it's done. The kids recognize his greatness, and they buy into it 100%. He can teach them anything. It's really kind of annoying.
Jim has made his athletes better persons as well as better players. He's taught them to work hard, to strive for excellence, and to take pride in themselves and in their team.
By the end of his career, I think he had a different kind of rapport with the kids, and it was a little bit more relaxed, and guys played loose, and I really think he turned into one of the top coaches in Northern California at the time. For him to be the only one retired, and it's a great number, lucky number 7, and it was Mickey Mantle's number, which he loved. I think it says all it needs to say about what his contributions to SI baseball have been.
He is the best of Ernest Hemingway. He never lets you see him sweat. He is always pushing the limits, whether it is swimming in the bay or surfing or chopping down doors in SI Live and making all the kids laugh, or teaching a book that he's never taught before. He'll try anything. And of course, because he's Jim Decker, he succeeds.
It's been fun to to watch him evolve, as I said before, as a coach, but also as a teacher. His legacy is the group of guys that are taking over for that previous group of guys, the Silvestris and the Murphys, Druckers and Deckers.
I will definitely be retiring from SI Live because I'm Decker's sidekick, and I can't imagine making a fool of myself without him. But I'm going to miss him very much, as a colleague and as a friend. And I'd appreciate it if you'd do me a big favor and don't tell him the nice things I said about him, because he'll never let me live it down.
One of the great strengths about SI is our community, and the 3 people that we honor today are just that. They are community for us at SI. They have done amazing work in the classroom and beyond the classroom. They've shared their gifts and talents with this community. They've really demonstrated what it means to be at Ignatian, and for that we are eternally grateful. Even though they won't be here next year, we know that the great work that they've started is an inspiration to all of us, and we are a better place because of them.